Hi, my name is Sarah and I'm currently a senior at the high school and I'm also in the research program. This video is going to be about the significance of research. So I'm also in the research program at the high school and I have been for the past 4 years. Each year is a prerequisite for the next. I just want to make this video so that I could clarify a couple things and talk to you guys about all the opportunities and things that I've learned throughout the years in case any of you guys were thinking about joining as an incoming freshman. The first question I wrote on my list of questions is, how did you get into research? I knew that I'd really like my science and math classes, and I also participated in the middle school research program, so I thought that was a good stepping stone from middle school to high school. I kind of joined on a whim in a sense because I didn't really know much about it, but when I was signing up for my classes, I looked at the course curriculum, thought, hey, this would be something I'm interested in, so that's kind of how I signed up. I'm also a Girl Scout, and this is going to be how I can reach out to you guys when we're living in a time when being in person really isn't that possible. So my second question is, what was research like at the high school? So as a freshman, I had one teacher, and then as a sophomore and junior, I had another one, and then as a senior, I had the same teacher I had as a freshman. So it's kind of a full circle moment in a sense. As a freshman, I know it was a lot thrown at us at once, a lot of reading papers that were professionally written and trying to analyze them for all the different components of a paper and being quizzed on those. We also learned how to do different scientific processes, and we got to do 2 different projects. One of them was a project that the whole class did, and it was like testing whatever variable or something that you wanted to on it and seeing the effects of it just as a first experiment. Also during the year, we were able to pick a certain organism that we wanted to work with and form a project around it and find results and all of that. So it was also during the time where we didn't have tablets, so we had this 3-inch thick binder which we would always stick with so many papers. So as a sophomore, we had the other teacher. So the other teacher was more oriented towards biology, so we're able to get into groups and form projects and work on strengthening our skill set that we had not only for research throughout the rest of my life in terms of being able to write an email, voice my results and findings to people so that they could understand them, because one of the most important things that people overlook is the ability to communicate your findings, because being able to find them is one thing, but if you can't say it in a way that anyone would understand, it makes it really difficult to communicate. So the power of a presentation was also really significant. So also as a sophomore, our teacher recommended that we start sending emails to labs. What usually happens is that as a rising senior, you find a lab, you basically intern there for the summer and you come up with a project and everything, and then you write a paper about it and are able to enter all these national competitions and stuff like that. So what he wanted us to do was to send emails as a sophomore so that we could potentially find a lab being a rising junior, in part being able to have the same lab or another lab as a rising senior, so that you can have 2 years of lab experience in a professional setting as opposed to just one that most researchers have. Also, it does not change anything if you are unable to find a lab and end up doing research in-house, which is basically where you spend the summer doing research at the high school. So doing that as a sophomore, especially near the end of the year, I wasn't really able to find a lab. I sent a lot of emails, 563, but I sent them too late and I didn't realize this. As long as you email them really close to the beginning of the school year, it'll be right when they stop doing research for the summer. So it kind of leaves all of that open and you have the opportunity to get in there. So the next year, as a junior, that was the first thing I did. And I was so happy because I started sending emails within the first weeks of school in September, and I only had to send out 21 before getting a positive reply. I was able to focus on communicating with the lab PI, which is principal investigator, and trying to learn and find out more about what their lab is like. So In terms of sending those emails, most labs don't expect you to know much about what they do. They mostly want to know that you are someone that wants to go further and wants to learn more. So these labs want to make sure that you are someone that has worked hard in the previous things that you've done and want to learn more about the research field that they are partaking in. The way that I was able to do that, I started reading through papers and things that I would be interested in, and then I looked in the authors section of it, and if the author was affiliated with a university, I went to like that website, and hopefully in your case they have a lab website where you can go through, you can really just stalk them, not in like the creepy way, just like being able to find out all the information that you want about what their lab does, so it can keep you more informed and can help you craft a better email. So basically, I read a couple papers and I saw one thing in common was the author, and so I reached out, I asked a quick question about the research, which does tend to give you more of a positive response in terms of getting an answer, because sometimes PIs are so busy that you won't even get an answer in the first place. Even getting a negative response, it's always important to say that you're grateful for their time and considerations and efforts, and just to move past it, don't take it personally, because there's so many reasons for why a PI or someone in a lab won't be able to have you as an intern. I had an up-to-date resume. You can always ask your teachers about, you can ask your guidance counselor, will definitely help you. So summer of 2019, I had done research in a lab. I'd gone to New York City every day. So as a senior, I was using the research that I did over the summer and wrote a paper with the people at the lab. It's one of the requirements as a senior to have your senior research paper done. And so you could enter a series of competitions to compete for top prizes in whatever category. It's also possible to do research without actually being in the class. They have a certain period. As a senior, I wasn't really able to do that. So I corresponded with the research teacher, and I was able to find a way to go have a conversation with him during what would be my lunch period a couple times a week. And I do think that was very helpful. So I did also kind of cut into the next question, which was, how did you find a lab? So I started just reading around, and I think it's the most beneficial thing you can do. I'll leave a bunch of links down below for websites that you can use to kind of spark your interest. They have current research going on and are able to stay informed and let you know what's going on. My next question was, what competitions did you go to? So the first one is NICEF Andromeda and ICEF. So Andromeda is for 9th and 10th graders mainly, and ICEF division is for 11th and 12th graders mainly. So NICEF stands for New York State Science and Engineering Fair. So the next one was LICEF, ICEF, and JV LICEF, which stands for the Long Island Science and Engineering Fair. So ICEF is the International Science and Engineering Fair. It's what most researchers aspire to get into. It's usually only 1,800 students around the world get to attend, and we're lucky enough to have a couple students in the past be able to attend. There's also the NSPC Health and Science Fair competition. So that is something that I'm currently doing right now, and a lot of these competitions have had to go virtual. So we had to like design a website to show our work and research and have all of our forms uploaded to it. There is also JSHS. You had to submit your paper first, and then the judges would go through a first round of judging, and based on the quality of your paper and the quality of your research, they would invite you to go to a second round. And I was lucky enough to be invited to go to that second round, which was in person, and you had to present in front of a judge and a room of people, which was a little daunting, but it did help me grow those soft skills. So another competition that we were able to enter was Genes in Space. Another one was the Regeneron Science Talent Search. So that was something that was more focused on the well-rounded individual. So in addition to sending the paper, you also had to submit a series of essays, and I was one of them. And I always think it's really weird to say, because I honestly did not see it coming. That was crazy. There's also the Explore Vision one, which I think I remember doing in 10th grade with a couple people, and we got together, came up with an idea, and were able to submit it. We did learn a lot about like how to successfully enter a competition. Most of these competitions, when they were in person, were considered as a field trip. We'd go to these competitions and present and get to leave school for the day, and it was like kind of walking out in style, so that kind of felt nice. So we were actually able to go on field trips. One of them was to Rockefeller University in New York City, and we were able to watch a series of like presentations that people put on about what is up and coming in research and what is like important in terms of like what we need to start developing clinically to solve these certain diseases that are becoming more and more present in our life. After that, we were actually able to tour a lab, which I found really interesting because that was before we were all looking for labs and everything, so we didn't really know what to expect with that, but it was very exciting. My next question is, how has research affected you and your future? So I've been able to make a lot of friends, and especially knowing that the high school and this whole community is very tight-knit. You know, also out of the program and stuff like that, I met a lot of people at these competitions, and I also made friends throughout the other extracurriculars that I did that happened to do research at their school, so that was another like level of bonding. Being able to see these presentations of people that you don't necessarily know their research, and being able to hear everything that they've been working on, because it's important to know not only about the research that you're doing, but the research of others. In terms of my future, I'm going to Georgia Tech, which is the Georgia Tech Institute of Technology, majoring in physics. So I kind of got inspired to do that because of the classes I've been taking, and I did find that I really liked physics, but more importantly, I can do research in addition to studying for my academics. And I do want to be kind of that person that is able to study research wherever I go, whatever I do, and just kind of for the rest of my life being able to look at things with an analytical kind of lens and being creative. I'm gonna ask the sixth question, which is, do you see yourself doing research in 20 years? And my answer to that is yes. I always thought it'd be kind of cool if like I ended up having like a lab or something where it would be like the Bari lab or something like that, but that's kind of like a dream. So my seventh and kind of last question I'd be asking is, how can I seek more opportunities in research? So what I recommend is asking around to the people who are above you and people that are in the field, and just sending emails and asking questions. When I was working in my lab, everybody thinks it's always like busy all the time, and you never have any downtime, and you're constantly like working and everything. And that for the most part is true, but there's also time where you're sitting there waiting for it to like finish. So I would recommend you try to pick up a new coding language. I know I was encouraged a lot by the people in my lab that had this little list of like tasks that I could start doing using MATLAB and like Python to start learning, and I'm still really working on it. And I also recommend subscribing to a couple podcasts, possibly smaller researchers that don't have as much of a big following but still have a lot of important things to say. I also wanted to talk about what you should do in the case that you're emailing and you don't think that you're able to find a lab in time. I think it's important for you guys to know that there are also these programs that allow you to do work over the summer and can also, like in the program, get you to find research with a specific mentor or something like that. And there are some that they happen all over the country, all over the world, and it's really an incredible opportunity. And I will leave links down below for all of these things, and just in case you want to check one of these out, because I know that these are beneficial for me, and if I didn't use them necessarily, other people have and have had success with them. So I'm just gonna leave a bunch of stuff down there, so feel free to check it out. When I first started reading papers, I had no idea what any of those words meant. There was so much lingo that was pertinent only to whatever research topic it was regarding. For me, I found that really kind of hard, especially I felt like I had to translate it as though it was almost in a different language that I couldn't understand. Reading papers is always an important skill, because most people present their work in the form of either a PowerPoint with a presentation or just a paper. Sometimes you just read an abstract, and if a certain word or key term catches your eye and you think it might be something worth looking into or researching, that's always a good way of trying to pique your own interest. Especially for me, that summer that I didn't have the lab where I sent emails and I thought I would be able to find one, I kept my nose in a book. I went out to the beach and, you know, had like a normal summer, but I was also on like Khan Academy and like looking to see what I could learn about like math and science. The last thing I wanted to say was that the teacher that was teaching research as the freshman year teacher and as the senior year teacher is actually retiring this year, so it's kind of like we're both finishing the program. I know that it's been a wild ride for everybody, including you guys, because we've all kind of been in the same boat with this quarantine. And I don't know who's going to be teaching it next year, but I know that this program will be one in which you guys will learn so much about not only research and academics, but yourself and about the world of opportunity that is really out there. And I know that sounds very cheesy, but I really do mean it, because I had no idea that my life would be like this and that I'd be so interested in it, but I kind of just went for it. And I think if you guys have even an inkling about it, you guys should go for it too. So I think I touched on a lot today. I'm not sure if I answered all of your questions because I kind of created the questions. If you have any more questions, don't hesitate to email me, reach out. I would love to have a little conversation and email you guys back. And I hope this video was beneficial to you guys and those of you, especially those of you thinking about the program. There really is a lot to offer. I think it's incredible that they offer this on my resume. I didn't even realize it, but so much of the experiences that I had and what I was able to show for was from this research program. And I have a lot of people to thank, which I will, especially before I graduate. So thank you again for watching this video. It really means a lot to me, and I hope it meant a lot to you learning about this program. So thank you so much, and I hope you have a beautiful day and stay safe during this quarantine. Thank you so much. Bye.